very powerful technique that Julian Treasure brought about in this particular video is the RASA technique, which is one of my favorite methods. RASA, R-A-S-A. Now, what does RASA stand for? R stands for receive. Whenever somebody is talking to you, be a good receiver. And by being a good receiver, you don't have to be judgmental. Why is he saying like this? What happened? He just said something else differently. Just be a good receiver. Maintain eye contact. Allow the person to talk. Make the person feel complete that yes, whatever I had to say, I said it. It's very difficult to be receiver. And you can be a good receiver only if you are not insecure. I've seen that people who are not good listeners are generally insecure because they always want to have one-upmanship. Yeah, but even I had that. But even so, they always try to bring their own story in the other person's story. But even I have seen that, but even I have an uncle like that and things like that. So that is the problem with not receiving. Just be a good receiver, it's okay. Nobody can make you less. You are what you are. Nobody can change who you are. Only you can change who you are. So don't even try to get every single chance to prove your mettle, not required. After you have received the other person satisfactorily to mutual satisfaction, then appreciate. How do you appreciate? You appreciate the fact that the other person took time to speak to you. You may disagree with what the person said, but you do appreciate the act of the person speaking to you, right? So how do you appreciate? You say, yeah, this is a good point. I never thought about that. I think this is a great insight. Thanks for sharing this to me. What happens when you appreciate? What happens is the other person feels much more acknowledged, empowered, bold, open, and later on you would realize that the person has really gotten on to the meat of what he or she meant. And this is very true in a customer context. If a customer speaks to you about the real problem, believe me the first few minutes the customer will be talking about the symptoms. He or she is trying to test the waters, that are you trustworthy enough for me to open up, or should I just tell you what you want to listen? If you want me to play the role, I can play the role. And that's the reason why most market research surveys fail, because customers are just role playing. Whatever you want, the customer will exactly parrot it and send you happily, and you just fill the form, make the exact bell curve and submit the report. Nothing earth shattering will come out of it. The real conversation happens once a person really feels that yes, you are worth it. You are worth for me to be vulnerable. And then I let my guard down and then I really tell the real problems that I might be grappling with. And that comes only when you appreciate. Appreciate the act, not necessarily the fact. Then you summarize it. What is summarize? Summarize means you parrot it back to the customer. So you summarize saying that, okay, so what you mean to say is that the reason you don't use a front loading washing machine is because of A, B, C. Am I right? And the person says, yeah, you are right. What summarizing does is that summarizing builds a rapport between the two parties. For one, it sends a signal that you are indeed listening and not whiling away your time or nodding your head. And secondly, it also fills informational gap. It may so happen that when you summarize something, the person missed out saying something and the person can fill the gap. Or when you're summarizing, you summarize it wrong than what the other person wanted to convey. So summarizing really builds a rapport, plugs the information gap and brings you to on the same platform. And finally, you ask. You ask questions. And even asking a question can be an act of empathy. For example, we have had a situation where, say, somebody turns up late to the class. Ram turns up late to the class. There are two ways I can ask Ram a question. One, why are you late? Two, what happened? Now, which of the two questions makes more sense? Why are you late or what happened? I reckon what happened is a better question than why are you late, isn't it? Because when I say why are you late, you become defensive. But when I ask what happened, you're not defensive anymore. You and me are on the same side. We are trying to analyze the situation, because I don't think that anybody intends to be late. People become late because of lack of planning, or maybe because of situations or some unforeseen circumstances. So asking is a great skill. So what is RASA? Receive, appreciate, summarize and ask. So with the listening positions and RASA as a technique and what other things Julian Treasure has given us, I think there's no reason why you can't double down on your listening skills, and you would never regret the fact that you have become a good listener now. People around you might get surprised. What's wrong with you? What happened? Why are you listening so much? But I think you can only thank yourself that you have embraced this extremely critical aspect.